In this lecture, we are going to finish the main content area by adding the sidebar to our template. Currently, the sidebar is completely empty. Visitors will see an empty white space on every page. Typically, sidebars will contain various blocks to display links to other pages of our site. Before adding blocks, we should create a template part. After we're finished with the index template, additional templates will be explored. The sidebar will appear in multiple templates. I think it would be a good idea to separate this section of the template into a template part for reusability. Let's try creating a template part. Switch over to your text editor. Inside the Parts folder, create a file called sidebar.html. Next, let's begin creating the blocks that will occupy this file. Switch back to the browser. On our site, we have 3 UI elements in the sidebar. The sidebar has a section for tags, categories, and a list of highly rated posts. WordPress has blocks for generating a list of tags and categories. As for the highly rated posts section, a block does not exist for generating this UI element. Therefore, we're going to resort to an HTML block. A custom block will be developed in a future section. Now that we have an overview of what we need, let's create the blocks. Switch over to the full site editor. We are going to focus our attention on the sidebar template part. Initially, the template will be empty. Let's add 2 blocks called heading and tag cloud. We're starting with the tag section. Typically, we would use a single block to create a section. However, the tag cloud block does not add a heading. It has to be added separately. In the index.html file, the static HTML for the tags section can be found under a comment that says popular tags. The markup is straightforward. The heading has a modified font size, weight, and margin. As for the links, WordPress does not offer settings for modifying their appearance. I've provided a class for quickly styling the tags. Starting with the heading, let's modify the stylings. First, let's set the font size to 1.25 rem. The appearance option should be set to medium. Lastly, let's add the margin options to the block. The bottom margin should be set to 1.25 rem. Additional styles are not required. We can skip applying the classes since the block settings can handle the rest. The heading is almost ready. We almost forgot to add the text for the heading. Add the following text: blog tags. Let's work on modifying the tag cloud. The tag cloud block will generate over 40 tags. For our theme, we won't need this many tags. Let's tone it down by modifying the settings. Under the settings sidebar, set the number of tags to 15. Lastly, let's apply a class to modify the appearance. The look we're going for can't be modified through the block's settings. A custom class will suffice. Inside the class field, add a class called Sidebar Tags. This class is defined in our theme. After applying this class, your template should look like mine. Next, let's move on to the highly rated posts. As I said before, this UI element can't be easily created with a core block. Let's replicate this element with a custom HTML block. Open the index.html file in your editor. Search for a comment that says highly rated posts. Below this comment, there's a div tag with a class called MB8. Let's copy it from the template. Next, insert the HTML block below the tag cloud block with the HTML. Awesome, we're almost finished. The last UI element is the categories. Similar to the tags section, the categories section can be created with 2 blocks. We need a heading followed by a list of categories. Luckily, we can duplicate the heading block since the styles are the same. After the duplicated heading block, add a new block called Categories. Let's examine the structure of the original template of the categories. The HTML for the categories is simple. We have a list of links. Similar to the tags block, the categories block does not have settings for modifying the appearance of the categories. Classes will have to do. Configuring the categories block will be fast. On the sidebar, let's enable the Show Only Top-Level Categories option. Categories can have a hierarchy. We may not always want to display subcategories. To keep the block simple, we're going to restrict the list to top-level categories. Next, under the Advanced panel, add a class called Sidebar Categories. We're finished. The last step is to update our HTML template. The current template is a copy stored in the database. Rather than copying and pasting each block, we can select all blocks by holding down the Shift key and clicking on the blocks. Once you've selected the blocks, copy the blocks into your clipboard. Next, switch over to the sidebar.html file. Paste the blocks into the file. We can safely refresh the Gutenberg editor to reset the template. After resetting the template, it should look exactly the same as before. Let's save the template. While we're updating our template, let's update the index template. Switch over to this template in the editor. We're going to load the template part in the second column of the main content area. Inside the second column block, add a new block called Template Part. Next, we can choose the sidebar template part from the list. Below the columns block, we saved a copy of the main content area as an HTML block. Keeping this block around isn't necessary. Delete the HTML block from the template. Time to update the index template file. The entire list of blocks can be copied from the list view. Let's do that. We are going to completely overwrite the index template with these blocks. In your text editor, open the index.html file. Replace the current contents with the latest copy. Lastly, we can reset the template. In the Gutenberg editor, refresh the page so that the editor has the latest copy of the HTML file. Once the editor has loaded completely, you can safely reset the index template. This process may take a while. WordPress has to perform several checks before rendering the completed template. If everything worked, the template should have loaded on the editor. Save the template to finalize the template. Great, we're finished with the main content area. There's one more test that we should perform. Let's check out the home page on the front end. The sidebar is complete. We can finally move on to the last area of the template, which is the footer. When you're ready, I'll see you in the next lecture.